My name is Abigail Jennings, and I will be reading the beginning of a short story I wrote called Where Bugs Twinkled and Stars Flew. Susan Beckett's doctors at MD Anderson promoted living in the country, where each breath of air in your lungs was fresh as the dewy sunrise, not unhealthy for sensitive groups, as the Houston Chronicle rated the city air. What those doctors forgot to mention was something more immediately apparent upon arrival than the lack of smog. Past the sprawling suburbs, the rolling pastures were alive, not just with picturesque bluebonnets like the photos. The entire world seemed to pulse and crawl, with overgrown vegetation, rampant insects, and four-legged beasts. Ellen Beckett held tightly to the book she and her mother would start at the new house, and eyed this new place as her father rumbled them down the gravel driveway in the minivan. The farmhouse was old, practically a historic monument, except that the roof line was as disjointed as a child's construction from so many add-ons. On a book cover, Ellen might have called it charming, but the wild surroundings didn't allow that. Weeds grew up in abundance, right up to the white siding, filling in shady areas between the trees with yet more habitat for whatever kind of creature was inclined to take up residence. And outside the sagging strings of wire fencing that attempted to create a boundary between the yard and the pastures, there were cows. Not the pretty white and black kind that were on milk jugs. These ones were all black, and they loitered under a clump of juniper trees, opening and closing their jaws, chewing on nothing it seemed, and flicking their long tails in vain at the flies that flocked to their backs. Then one of them lifted its tail and peed like a garden hose, all the while chewing away. The flinging and pinging of gravel on the underside of the car ceased as Mr. Beckett pulled to a stop on a patch of broken-up concrete in front of the sheet metal garage. "Well, here we are," he said in a jolly voice. He gave his wife's hand a warm squeeze to waken her. Ellen rested her hand on the door handle. Until she opened it, she was safe in a travel capsule out of her old world, where their neighbors had impromptu block parties with hopscotch, rainbow popsicles, and tag and the sprinkler set up on the sidewalk, and where the library was only 2 blocks away, so close she was allowed to walk there by herself. Ellen could still smell the books, the sharp, musty perfume of yellowed library pages, comforting like an old teddy bear. Ellen slowly opened the door, and the lingering book scent was replaced by the scent of a fresh, dewy sunrise, the hot midsummer breath of dry grass and cow manure. She crawled out of the car, and a burr pricked her sandaled foot, while a multitude of grasshoppers sprang at her like popcorn from the scraggly grasses. She froze. Another grasshopper flew under her ruffle skirt and whacked the back of her thigh, and a shriek threatened to sound the alarm to all of Austin County, but it stuck in her throat as her mother's eyes twinkled in a smile. "They won't hurt you." Her mother held out her hand, and they headed up the porch steps to explore their new house.